What's up, everybody? Give me just 1 second. Let me turn my music down just a tiny bit so that I can hear myself when I'm talking, not just that music. This is Breaking the Cage. What is up, everybody? This is Astrology TV with the Matrix Mind Media. This is for June 19th through the 25th. Let me pull my cigarette out real fast. And we're going to get right into this week's not healing messages, and Breaking the Cage. Now, this is like the solstice edition because this is the week of the summer solstice, or wherever you are in the world, it's the solstice because depending on where you are. Now, the solstice for us is the longest day of the year. And the solstice itself has messages, not just the energy of what Spirit is giving us, the blueprint of what Spirit is giving us, the information that I'm going to be giving you of what Spirit is trying to give to us today. But it also has its own messages. The solstice is viewed as twice a year. So this, right off the bat, is speaking to you of cycles and understanding them. Now, it's either 2 cycles or it's 4 different parts of the year, different parts of your journey. And the summer solstice itself, it speaks to us about coming into understanding we're celebrating the light before we start to move back into the darkness. Now, before I get into any more about this week's healing messages, I have a few announcements I want to make, and I want to make sure that I'm getting that out there before I really get into all of the Breaking the Cage for everybody. And the first thing is, yes, we have the solstice, which takes place on the 21st. It's part of why I spoke about the solstice right when we came on. Because I do, and I've been doing it, I've been posting it out probably for about 5 years now. And I call it Nobody Suffers Alone anymore. And it's like a global healing. And I've been putting it out there every year. I started it when I used to work at the commissary because of all the different spirits that I would get from the military that would come to me. And with that being said, conversations that I had with all of those different spirits of the military brought me into, where I started this global healing event. And like I said, I call it Nobody Suffers Alone anymore. You will be able to find all of that stuff in the description box. And what it is it's not like you get together with everybody or you do anything. You can if you all wanted to, but you could do this in your own home. It's simply taking a little bit of time out of your day and sending either some of your positive energy, if you know how to work with energy, sending healing energy, or putting out prayers, and I have time slots, but I don't have times like AM or PM, and I don't have it under time zones because they're set for you to do like these little prayers or these little healing energies to work with the angels, to work with the spirits. And when you give that extra healing, that extra love, it's all about allowing those guides, those angels, those ancestors to take that healing energy and deliver it and disperse it throughout the world where it needs to be given. Because Nobody Suffers Alone anymore is in honor of all of those who have gone before us, who are already passed away. And it is about us bringing healing to the world around us, to the earth, but also to all illness and diseases. So it's simply saying there's somebody out there in some hospital bed who doesn't have anybody visiting them. Let's be blunt. This is about sending all of that healing to anybody out there who is in need of it and who maybe just doesn't have anybody to give it to them. So please check the time slots. You could do it in your own home. All it is sending the positive healing energy, giving it to your guides, your angels, your ancestors, and allowing them to take it where it needs to be. Spend 5, 10, 15 minutes, maybe a half hour in a meditation, putting out that high vibrational energy and sending it where it needs to go. Because God knows in this day and time, we all need a little help, and nobody needs to be suffering alone anymore. And with that being said, I'm also doing, I started it last week. You'll be able to check out my personal pages on Thursday nights, where we're doing, me and a girlfriend of mine who is another tarot reader and a medium. And we're starting to do Thursdays Weekly Thunder, where for an hour, we'll be giving out, universal readings, whatever spirit is giving us to throw out to anybody who is watching those readings. Now, of course, if you want to have your own personal reading at that time, like a card or a 3 card, there's like a small fee of like $2 and $5, but it's also going into proceeds into helping my mother, because of all of her dementia and everything else, and her medical bills are just climbing and climbing and climbing, as well as I have a GoFundMe. But we do that on the universal collective readings for an hour, my girlfriend and I, for I believe it's at 9 o'clock on Thursdays. Just check out my page, and those universal readings, those collective readings, are free for 1 hour. We're just throwing it out unless you request your own personal readings. With that being said, I do also have my own special sales, which you can find on my pages, not here on the Matrix Mind, but on my own personal pages. And then if you want to purchase anything, since you are Matrix Mind Media, from my LSF Sanctuary Etsy shop, just make sure not everything is on sale. But I've had a coupon out for Matrix Minds for anybody who purchases anything, but I believe you have to put it in caps in order to get 20% off. Again, not all items are 20% off, but there are many that are 20% off, but you'll only get that coupon. If that coupon, you'll only get the 20% off if you enter in all caps coupon code Matrix Minds. Now, with that being said, let's get right back in. Let's jump right back into this breaking the cage, because we're coming into the 4 different parts of the year. This is the second part of the year. This is about what have you been nurturing. I've only been saying this over and over again, but when we hit the solstice, it's speaking to you about nurturing the seeds that you've planted. And are you nurturing them well to ever see a harvest come about? This is part of what this energy is coming in when we're speaking about the solstice. Now, it is 2 times of the year, but it is technically 4 parts. And what am I always telling you guys? Your wholeness is not just a trinity, even though Spirit is giving me ideas of trinity to give to everyone to help you understand where you are on your path, so you'll understand where you are according to the seeds, nurturing them, harvesting them. But understand your wholeness is not just a trinity, it is a 4 part. Your emotional, your mental, your spiritual, and your physical. And if all of them are, or any of them, emotional, mental, spiritual, or physical, is out of whack, out of balance, then my sweet darling, you're out of balance. And it's not easy to stay in balance. It is so easy to get out of balance. Spirit is telling me things will be coming up, pointing to the pathway of the decisions that you're making. And then for you to realize within those decisions, are you the creator, the destroyer, or the sustainer? They're also telling me or are you the creation, coming into creation? Are you the perseverance, or are you the destruction? Because they're giving me different ideas of the Trinity as it goes through the entire cycle. Like I said, the solstice is all about honoring the light that has been shown to you and the light within you in order to keep it strong and continue to nurture it as we go into a darker cycle. We are not reaching that darker cycle yet, but I promise you, I've been telling you right now, over and over again, that these energies are like, especially when I was doing the home light security readings, it was coming up left and right, that this is, you need to take these steps forward right now, because otherwise come October, and especially come May of next year, you're going to find that it's made you take 6 steps backwards, and you're having to do that, not like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, but I'm talking about you'll be catapulted back because of the not following the proper passageway, not following the proper procedures of what is going to help you to ascend, grow, and walk that path properly. It's just what I'm being given. I can't help it. I just give you what I'm being given. They say it all has to do with the completion of a cycle, and that, remember, your 4 is, yes, it is your emotional, your mental, your spiritual, and your physical, but 4 also represents universal energy of which you cannot change. Like, you cannot change the 4 seasons. You cannot change the 4 elements. You cannot change, the 4 different times of day. Your early morning, dawn, afternoon, evening, and dusk. Midnight. There are certain things that are 4s, which are universal energies, and it is stronger than your manifestation, period. It is a universal safe hold, is what they were just saying. Couldn't get it out of my mouth right. Those are universal safe holds. You have to make sure you're working with that universal energy. You're working with that energy. It's not going to work with you. This is one of those where you have to work with the energy and understand the cycles that are taking place so that you can make it work for you. Like I said, that 4 for me means the universe will have its way. So you better get on board with the direction the universe is taking you, because otherwise, many steps back come October through May. Now, honoring the light that is found within you, it is nurturing your rebirthing of this, the seeds that you've planted in the directions of what you're trying to create, and honoring it all so that it will be able to securely keep you strong and warm inside as you go through the shadow times that are soon to come. And the dark is what I'm being given. It will nourish you from the inside out. Now, you also have the moon, which is going to be taking place right on top of Jupiter when we have the solstice on Tuesday. When I get into the astrology, I'm going to get even more into it. But I want to speak about these 2 things right now before I get into the blueprint and before I get into the actual rest of the astrology. You're going to have the sun, which is going to cross right over Neptune in the universal 12th house. And I tell everybody, on a universal level, this is what the energy is. Now, in your personal charts, it may not be the 12th house. It may be the 3rd house. Because I can't do a universal reading for everybody. I can only give you what that universal energy is. However, that energy is still going to be taking place, and it will still have a form of that universal energy just within the house that it is for you directly. But the energy isn't going anywhere. It will just be complementing or challenging what's already in your natal chart. That moon on the day before the solstice, the 2 days before the solstice, tomorrow and the next day, is going to be going over Neptune in the 12th house. And Neptune is, this is important for you to understand as you set the new phase, you set the new cycle. Because Neptune doesn't care what magic it creates. It comes from a universal 12th house of where we keep our secrets, where our denial is, where our self-sabotage is, where our skeletons in the closet is. It's Neptune and Pisces, which is fantasy versus reality, where we would rather escape than face and deal with what we have to face and deal with. The moon's going to put the emotional, magical spin on it. This is not the time for the self-sabotage escape zone, because it's going to whammy up and it's going to hit you right in the face when that moon crosses on top of Jupiter with that solstice energy as the sun enters Cancer. So this is not that time to escape, be in denial, and ignore and allow the cravings of what will make me feel good right here, right now. Like I've been saying it for weeks. Don't go after the chocolate that's going to give you the false ecstasy, because I'm warning you, when you hit that solstice and it hits Jupiter and the moon in Aries, it will backlash on you. If you're in that escape zone, if you're in that, instead of wallowing in my pity, let me drown. Like they say, don't party too much when the energy is in Neptune, because fantasy does come back and smack you in the face with harsh reality. So this is the time to very much be face to face with your own truth, with your own dark side, with your own shadow, so that you can actually bring the healing that is needed as you start the cycle, and understand the pathways and the decisions that are being made that will help redirect this. This is a very powerful week of understanding your need of self-motivation, self-assertiveness, being self-oriented, knowing thyself. This is the time to, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and get an I can and I am energy, and bring yourself across that threshold. Bring yourself across that tug of war line. Hold on one second. Now, as I get into the blueprint, before I jump into the astrology itself, Jupiter itself is sitting on the eye sockets. Again, this is still speaking to us, because the eye sockets are what you're seeing and how they feel and how they're acting. It's not just your view. It's the weight of the world around you and how you're seeing it that is going on inside of the eye socket, sending its signals to the brain and going directly back to that zeal point. Not to mention, the North Node is sitting directly on that zeal point. But let me go back to Jupiter. Jupiter is sitting on the eyes. The abundance, whether it's good or bad, for what you're seeing and how you're choosing to interpret it in your brain. And then it's hitting the zeal point and it's sending the signals up and down, whether they're positive or negative, in your vibrational frequency, up and down the spine. You have Mars, which is sitting also on the eyes, but then it's starting to move down through the cheeks and into the nose. So what this is telling me is it's also getting into your sinuses, into the sinus cavities in general, as it's traveling this week. And according to, on that spiritual level, like they say, the spiritual flu sometimes, depending on what you're allowing your eyes to interpret, what kind of energies you are sucking up. I always tell everybody, so many people are psychic sponges and don't even know it. You're just sucking it up like a sponge, and instead of, transmutating it and releasing it, it's residing in there, causing blockages. And then it starts to have the sinus cavities start acting up, that spiritual flu thing going on, messing with the ears and stuff. Not to mention, Chiron is really close to Mars. Chiron's the wounded healer. And so we're talking about how we're interpreting things through how we choose to identify with what we are seeing with the world around us, as well as ourselves. Uranus is the tonsils. It's the tonsils and the thyroid gland as well in the throat. That zeal point is the North Node, which is that back of the neck where you get that psychic attack, and the back And I could have, should have, would have. Well, I could have done that. Maybe I should have done this. What if? No. This is also that zeal point is what protects you from the psychic attack when you know how to keep yourself protected. And that all has to do with the signals from that zeal point of letting the higher vibration in or the lower vibration. And it deals directly with what your eyes are seeing from the Jupiter energy and how you're choosing to interpret it. Jupiter is abundance, manifestation, and he doesn't care. Anything he touches, he expands on. It's not always the mind as such. It can be, but that's a choice you make. Are you going to punish yourself, or are you going to reward yourself? It's a choice you're making as to what you're feeling, feeding that zeal point of positive or negative viewing of the world. What are you taking part in? And then it sends, that zeal point sends the signal up and down the spine and through all of those chakras saying, yes, I'm open for psychic attack. Lower my vibration. Or, nope, we're going to jack up that vibration. We're going to make it higher. And you can't touch me with that shit. I'm just giving you the way it works. Venus this week is going to be moving out of Gemini and into Cancer. And it is literally in the windpipe. So again, what are you breathing in? Are you getting choked up? Are you getting choked up? Are you getting dry mouth? Is things getting caught in the throat? This is Venus talking to you directly in the windpipe about what you're inhaling into your vibration. Mercury is in the lungs and the actual function of the lungs. And let me tell you, when you're dealing with the windpipe, Mercury and Venus coming into the lungs and how you're breathing, inhaling and exhaling, this all has to do with the sensitivity of the communication of the world you're seeing and the way you're treating yourself. So if your chest is tightening up and it's being harder for you to breathe and it's feeling like it's hurting your heart more, your body is trying to tell you where you're bringing more harm to yourself, where you're still viewing things from a lower vibration, where you keep doing the same pattern, the same pathway, the same decision that's bringing pain to the heart, to the chest, to the breathing of the windpipe, and the cage that actually surrounds and protects the heart. The sun is on some of the lower ribs, but those are actually lower ribs that also deal with your visual sight because of the way it the way it opens and closes with the way your body breathes and is able to work with the air that you're getting. Like I said, on the blueprint, I have to go into a whole lot of stuff, but it actually deals with the way your sight is according to your breathing techniques. On if it's shutting it down on you. I will always tell you, if you think you have a medical issue, please see a doctor. But understand the blueprints, because it has a lot to do with what the doctor is not going to understand. But if there's any reason ever you think you need to see a medical doctor, please do see one. Lilith is sitting on the nerves of the spine. I can't make this shit up. Lilith is typically the one who I speak about having just a little bit of enough ego to maybe get you over that hump. Lilith is normally the one who's asking you, well, what in the world are you here for? What in the world is your fire for? Just enough ego to make you want to be just self-centered enough to love yourself before it turns into narcissism. And Lilith, though, is in Cancer, and here she's more submissive. Okay, I'll go along with it. Okay, so I know that that's what you need. I won't do what I need. No. This is on the spinal cord. Have some backbone, people. Literally, because the messages will be going submissive or not up and down the spine and in those chakras, into the zeal point, and continue to backfeed into the eyes as to how and what you're viewing around you, and where that will take your vibrational frequency. Not to mention Sirius. When we get into Cancer energy, Cancer is some of the most powerful empath energy. And this is why it's called that empath energy. Why it's such a powerful energy. Why do you think empaths get thrown off with the submissiveness? Because they love so much that they will try to help everybody else, and then they'll get confused within their own feelings, their own emotions, and what they're doing is harming themselves because they haven't grown into the empath/medium yet. All of us have the same gifts. We're all capable of getting to the same spot. Just some of us haven't critiqued it well enough. And that empath is a way of helping you to understand what you're feeling of other people's energy, but it doesn't do any great service for you until you're able to understand the difference between you and it, and you're able to understand the meanings of those energies. Just because energy's funky doesn't tell you shit. You have to understand what the energy is about. If you're missing the point, it's not going to do any good for you to be picking it up. At least if you're understanding why it's the way it is, then it can become something that is healing and helping to others. But while you're just the empath who's sucking it up and being a psychic sponge because you haven't critiqued that yet, that's actually quite damaging. And this is why I said Lilith, who's normally all about your fire, becomes submissive here. Understanding what that is doing to the blueprint, understanding what that's doing to your chakras, understand what that's doing to your vibrations. And then we hit Sirius. Sirius is literally the threefold. She is karma. She is what is being nurtured or what is being neglected. And Sirius, understand me really quick, because this is where it gets a little confusing. Sirius is a dwarf star. Is a dwarf planet. But it is sitting in the same energies, the same degrees as the Sirius star. The Sirius star's energy speaks to you about God consciousness, source consciousness. It speaks to you of Thor's hammer, where, let me slap down the reality, here comes the change. It is the divine reflection coming into play. And it's sitting with Sirius star, Sirius. And speaking about nurturing, neglecting, karma, threefold. And then that's also in the universal fourth house of the home, the soul, the spirit. What are you nurturing to bring you through the winter? What are you nurturing to bring you through the darker energies as we come out of the summer? Have you been nurturing the seeds of you so that you still harvest and continue to be healthy as we move into the second half of the year? It is literally sitting on the abdominal. This is speaking to you of, listen to me, people. Trust the gut feeling. It is the second brain. So this is definitely about trusting in your intuitive, not questioning and doubting it. Trusting in your intuitive, understanding that you have to get deep enough and right with self to believe in it and take you forward. And then the South Node, again, the South Node is still on the sexual organs, which is all about birth, death, and rebirth. This is a time of making sure you're bringing the rebirth up by nurturing it in the womb all the way through the pregnancy, so to speak. As I get into the astrology, let me take a sip of my drink and then I'll walk you through the astrology. The moon is going to be moving through Pisces, then Aries, and then into Taurus. And that's going to have a lot to do with the energy. Because while it's the solstice and it's all about the sun, the moon is going to reflect your mood. The moon is going to reflect what the sun is actually illuminating for you, around you. The sun is not just yourself. It's not always, the sun can be a very positive thing, but it's an illuminator. It shows the truth. It brings it into light, whether it's good or bad. And this is making us see the decisions that we're making and the paths that we're choosing and what we're nurturing and what we're neglecting. Are we getting the true God consciousness right now? Or are we getting that Thor's hammer telling us how we will be put in that new direction? Because don't mess with the 4. The 4 is, like I said, your emotional, your mental, your spiritual, and your physical. But that's on a blueprint level. But 4 for me is always about the universe will have its way. So this is saying, make sure you're working with the universe, with that, with the big guy, the source energy. Because if you're not working with the source energy, it will toss you back. The moon's going to be walking through Pisces. We already discussed this. It's going to be going through Pisces for the next 2 days, stepping on, or crossing over, I should say, coming in conjunction with Neptune. Neptune and its magic. It doesn't care. It's going to create any magic that you feed it, whether it's good or bad, whether it's nostalgic and you're living in the past, whether it's bringing up, false illusion ideas because you'd rather go after what makes you feel good right now instead of seeing the healing that needs to be made so that you can truly bring it into fruition and breathing a new cycle into life. The sun is the moon is then going to move into Aries, where that solstice is going to take place over Jupiter, but after it leaves Jupiter, it's going to go over Mars and Chiron and then Eris. So you're talking about Eris is who I always call Medusa. It's trouble, toil, strife. It is where we hold on to vampire syndrome. I would rather suck on this and hold on to this energy because I'm still angry and it makes me feel better right now to hold on to it because I'm not ready to give it up. Or, yes, I want to give it up, but I'm not going to give it to you unless you pull it from my cold, dead hand. Trouble, toil, strife. Mars. Your passion, your action, your warrior, your SWAT team. Chiron, the wounded healer. And then Jupiter, it starts off with Jupiter. Filling it with abundance, filling it with knowledge, filling it with just energy flying at you, with fire energy, sun energy, the emotional moon energy, new cycles, Aries. I want what I want, and I want it right now. Entitlement. Aggressiveness, but is there wisdom here? Is there love, truth, and wisdom here? That is what you need to ask yourself as you're going through the solstice, because that is where it's questioning you about your path and if you're on the right path or if you're slightly off center and you need to make sure you get out of the grass back into the actual path. Long story short. And then it moves into Taurus, coming into your self-worth, your self-value, your self-esteem, or a lack of it. That moon is going to amplify everything this week. Understand your emotional sensitivity is definitely on high alert and being checked. And trust me, it's being checked by the guardians of the pole because I've already been getting messages from them as to the ascension that's coming in and if you get to come through or not. Now, sextiles. Let's start off with the good energy, the positive energy, the things that are able to bring possibilities. Pluto is getting along great with Neptune as well as with Uranus. Pluto, death, decay, and destruction in the 10th house. The universal outer world, honor, reputation, prestige, financial career. social environments, the authority of the outer world, and being able to have some authority, being able to build authority back for yourself in that outer world by coming into your true self, your authenticity, your soul, allowing yourself to shine by stepping into things that are out of your comfort zone. Neptune will open those doors to the new magic if you'll give it the power, if you'll believe in it. But if you're still in, well, the only way that I've ever known is this, and the only thing that I know is that, and let me escape from this because I don't really want to deal with it yet, then it's going to create that cycle all over again. The time is now to have the backbone. Uranus is getting along with this energy. Neptune and Pluto, both, and it's one sextile after another. And it's going straight down, going, well, if you've got it, then I'm going to actually give you the liberation. I'm going to help you set the direction, open up the possibilities for making you not just manifest in your mind the beliefs, but actually bringing it into reality. I keep telling everybody, you know, I've said before, when you're angry, and I'm a Leo sun, a Cancer moon, and a Virgo rising. I'm a detail, anal, retentive eclipse. And I tell everybody all the time, I'm like, trust me, when I'm upset, it's not the Leo that you should be worried about. It's the Cancer. The emotional moon Cancer. And it's taken me a long time to realize that I had always told people I couldn't understand why when I was in my vibrations would come up. I could feel them vibrating through my hands, my feet, my legs. When I'm pissed, it would be like at the highest of vibrations. And I'm like, why when I'm mad? And it took me a long time to realize my vibrations were so high when I was mad because whatever I was in denial of or I was lying to myself about, it came up into truth. So my vibrations were rising. But what you have to realize in your daily activity, your normal energy that you exert and you put out when you're manifesting, when you're asking for it, when you're daily just breathing, going up and down the steps, eating your cereal, you know, whatever, does not have the same exertion of energy that you do when you have adrenaline behind it. When you're angry, for whatever reason, the adrenaline is there. That is like a calling card to the universal energy, to the manifestation of like 911, I need this energy now. And if you're sending out, you can be angry and still be positive. You can learn the truth about something that you don't like and still be positive. But if you're in that vibrating high and then you take it and you spin it wrong in a negative way, you don't realize that that exerted energy at that moment sent out a calling card of, wait, cancel all that I've been working on because I just brought all this energy I'd been working on to manifest, that, you know, here having my cereal, telling myself my morning affirmations and doing this, singing my little songs about manifestation, making myself feel good. But say that's on a vibration of like a volume 2. But when you're full of adrenaline, your vibration isn't on a volume 2 anymore. It's like it raised up to like a 9. Well, now you have to work twice as hard to make sure that your vibration and your manifestation is creating actually up to that 9 vibration of volume. Because if you accidentally get all emotional, unless your emotions rule you, and you throw out that volume of 9 when you're normally on a volume of 2, all negative out, you just canceled everything you'd been setting. Now you got to work twice as hard to get back to it. There can be positive in the negative if you know how to work it. And you have to keep your mental state, your eyes and your emotional state clear so that you can balance it. Because that is what a lot of this is about, is balance. Pluto, Neptune, Uranus. Speaking to you about creating something new by using your magic to work for you instead of holding on and harping on it with that vampire syndrome and continuously going over the same things as it moves into that Uranus, independence, individuality, uniqueness, freedom, coming back into your power. It is there if you can control it, if you can master your emotional identification of yourself. Jupiter, that abundance, isn't getting along, is getting along great with Mercury. He's getting along great. The communication from the first house for how you see yourself, how you view yourself, what you want, what you need, what you see in the world, that Jupiter is filling up with abundance, which will light up that Aries energy. And it's taken over to that communication house of Gemini, your inner Jekyll and Hyde, of how you communicate with yourself. And Venus is moving in this week. It can be very positive, but you've got to be talking positive to yourself. You have to be on that vibration of what you're putting out from a positive level. Don't jack it up because you allowed yourself to get all emotional. Mars is getting along great with Venus, which should be balanced of your masculine and your feminine, of your creator versus your action. But Mars is surrounded by abundance coming by Jupiter, Chiron, the wounded healer, not knowing how to fix it, Eris, trouble, toil, strife, and what I've been holding on to for so long, and why I can't actually move forward because I got vampire syndrome, and I'd rather hold on to this evil bad stuff, and I'd rather continue to look at it over and over and over again instead of just moving forward. That's a bad pattern. Mars is getting along with Venus. Will you allow that sensitivity to rule you as she leaves Gemini and goes into Cancer, into the lungs, into the throat, into the air you're breathing? Venus is not love. She is your sensitivity, whether it is good or bad. She tells you why you love it, why you want more of it, and how you can go about getting it. But she also reminds you about who betrayed you, who lied to you, who done you nasty, and why you should not be dealing with them. So your inner face-off, your inner masculine and feminine are viewing each other, and where are they taking you according to that emotional sensitivity. Like I said, that moon is going to have a lot to do with how we react this week. You have the sun, which is getting along great with Cancer. Sun is getting along great with Saturn, which is in retrograde, saying it's time to take some chances and try some new things. Let's set up some new rules, walls, boundaries within our relationships of our outer world, within our committees, our memberships, our work friends. Let's take a chance and see if we can make it work towards our real true goals and dreams, or if those people don't support what I'm really about. The sun is here to illuminate whether that's possible or not. It may not show that it's possible, but that might be a good thing, because it may be showing you where you need to go a different direction, or it's showing you who, yes, you can work with and who you need to just avoid. Neptune is getting along great with the South Node. See, now that one is not exactly good. The South Node is everything you're good at, but not good for you. In Scorpio, keeping you from making the reincarnation, keeping you from the rebirth, by staying in the same patterns, the same cycles, by knowing what you know, and that's comfortable, so let's just stay with that. The South Node is asking you, are you going to be the ascendant that's moving forward, or will you constantly be the descendant and living in the past? Plain and simple. Neptune is giving you the opportunity to make that magic of going, nope, we're done with that. We're not looking back anymore. Or let me just stay here in my escape zone. And now for your challenges, you've got Sun and Lilith. And I keep saying Lilith is submissive here in this energy, in the 4th house, speaking to you about your inner emotional security. And it's speaking to Jupiter about identifying with yourself. It may not be the easiest thing for you to communicate easily with yourself this week. You may have to work hard at it. It's like I tell people all the time when I go into meditation. Some days I can go into meditation and I'm in meditation. Other days I'm sitting there for 30 minutes going, shut up, shut up, shut up. This is time for my heart. This is time for my heart, brain. I don't care what you have to say today, brain. Shut up. This is asking you, are you identifying with yourself in nurturing or neglecting ways? Are you nurturing yourself so that you can make it through into the winter, still knowing your value, your worth, identifying with yourself and the world around you in ways that will help you lift up? Or is it going to question you and give you abundance of why you can't seem to get yourself to believe it? And if the question is that it keeps showing you all these reasons of why you can't seem to get yourself to believe it, well, that's a healing that you need. But it's also a message. What are you in denial about? What are you lying to yourself about? Because it can only be that. There's something that's still making you think you don't deserve it. And you need to address that if you want to bring that healing forward. Saturn in retrograde is not getting along with Uranus, not getting along with the North Node, and not getting along with Venus while it's still there. It's also not getting along with the South Node. So it's saying, I really would rather stay with what I've always known. That's really what that whole energy is. It's just easier to stay with what I've known. Because, I'm scared to try and make the change. South Node is everything you're good at, but it's not good for you. It's how you can keep yourself in denial, how you can put the skeletons in the closet, how you can tell yourself that you're not suffering from grief, sorrow, shame, or blame. It's telling you the false truths that keep you from reincarnating and truly believing in yourself. Uranus is either saying that you are submissive, honestly, because either you're giving your power away or you're taking it back. Are you sustaining? Are you just going with the flow, or are you thriving? Saturn is saying, here's the rules, here's the walls, here's the shifts you need to make in your outer community to do what you want to do. Or don't, but stop bitching about it, because I'm giving you the keys, the tools. I'm making it hard enough just to see what you have to do. Will you do it or not? Pluto isn't getting along with Chiron. Or Mars. This is having the courage to take the action. Having the courage to believe in yourself, to stand up for yourself. Having the courage to allow the world to see who you were always supposed to be. That's really what it comes down to. Are you going to nurture yourself and bring yourself back to life, rebirth, and find that soul presence in you? Or are you just going to hide in the darkness and play with Neptune's magic right now and create that same cycle all over again? I love you guys. I will see you next week. Bye.